Hi, my name is Maribeth, and I'm here to share my story with you. It's not really easy to talk about this, but I know that it's important. When I was a kid, my mom and her then fiance participated in a nudist community. It wasn't just weird, it was dangerous. In that community, we were raped and trafficked. As a kid, I had no idea what was really happening, and I never dealt with that trauma. I grew up believing that sex was the same thing as love, and that shaped so much of what happened later in my life. By the time I was 19, I got married. But it wasn't the kind of marriage that you might think. My husband was 12 and a half years older than me, and honestly, he felt more like he was a father figure. When I turned 21, I started using drugs marijuana, cocaine, alcohol, just to try and numb the pain from everything that I'd already been through. But it didn't work. It just made things worse. At 23 or 24, I started selling my body. And at first, I thought I was in control, doing it all on my own. But then, two girls I knew started posting ads for me. And that's how I made a living until I was 27. When I was 28, I got a boyfriend, even though I was still married. He wasn't just a boyfriend, though. He was also my pimp. He controlled me until he got arrested and was ordered into a program. But by then, I was broke and addicted. So I thought I could take control by signing up for an escort service. I thought this time would be different, that I'd be in charge. But it wasn't different. It was worse. I ran into some really bad people, and what was supposed to be a simple job turned into 3 days of hell. A married couple and their roommate came to pick me up, and instead of doing what we'd agreed, they took me to Lehigh Acres. I was raped, abused, and forced into sex trafficking for 3 days straight without breaks. Then they told me they were moving me to Miami for more jobs, and that's when I knew I had to get out. In the middle of the night, around 2 a.m., I ran. I walked several blocks and I called my mom begging for help. The police came and took me back to my parents, but that was it. No one offered me any resources. There was no case open, and I was left to deal with everything on my own. Honestly, I couldn't stop. I was so addicted that I kept selling my body just to get by. It felt like that's all I knew how to do. Then, at 29, I got pregnant, and I started to get clean. And for almost 3 years, I stayed clean. I was finally turning my life around. But then my husband suddenly died, and it tore me apart. I relapsed and lost custody of my son. I was back in the life again with a new pimp, and trafficking started all over. By the time I was 36, I was exhausted. Physically, mentally, emotionally. I just wanted out. I went to rehab and I got clean again. But even then, the trauma wasn't dealt with. I kept looking around, wondering why there were no real resources for women like me. Women who had been trafficked and were now adults. It felt like we were invisible. In 2022, when I was 38, I started volunteering with an anti-trafficking organization. I thought maybe I could make a difference. But in January of 2023, I attended a conference where I heard Monica speak. She shared her story and talked about what her organization, F.U.S.E, does for survivors like me. And for the first time, I realized just how much more healing that I still needed. I went back to the organization I volunteered for and asked for help. They were able to initially provide a couple of trauma counseling sessions, but didn't have the ability to continue providing them for me. That's when I reached out to Monica directly. I wasn't sure what to expect, but she immediately said F.U.S.E would provide me direct services beyond just therapy, and it would be consistent. She didn't hesitate. She made me feel seen and important, and made sure everything stayed confidential. And from that moment on, I started receiving the help that I'd been looking for. I'm a wife again. I'm the mother of a beautiful 4-year-old little girl. I'm a substitute teacher. I'm a college graduate. I advocate for other survivors. I'm a leader in my community. and I mentor women who are still struggling with addiction and have open cases with the Department of Children and Family Services. I'm proud to say that I have been clean for 6.5 years. I am F.U.S.E. I'm free from addiction and trafficking. I'm unashamed of my story and what I've been through. I'm safe. And now I'm empowered to fight for the freedom of other women and children who are still trapped, just like I was. F.U.S.E. is here for women like me. Women who have been told that they're too far gone, that there's no hope. But I'm living proof that that's not true. We are never too far gone. Thank you for your support, and thank you to F.U.S.E. for allowing me to heal.